Hello, good afternoon. How y'all doing? Well, it's the end of summer, the beginning of fall. So it's a blessing that I have made it this far, and a blessing that you have made it this far. So I'm going to talk today in this video. Sodom and Gomorrah represent a paradigm shift in the human genome. It was a total paradigm shift, not only in the human genome, but it was a paradigm shift in the depravity of mankind. Now, in the book of Genesis, the Lord said, I came down to earth to see and understand the death. This is paraphrasing, of course. To see and understand the death of their depravity, of man's depravity, mankind's depravity. The holy angels who were watchers told the Lord what the men of Sodom were doing. And so, and there's another verse, in another book, I remember reading it some years ago, I don't know where, that there were no women in Sodom and Gomorrah because they had died out. So evidently the men of Sodom and Gomorrah were doing something and infected the women, and they all died out. Okay. So Jesus the Lord was so surprised by this sin that he personally came down to see if it was all true. Now, of course, the holy angels were not lying. Of course, they would tell him the truth. But it's like if you tell your mother that something's going on outside, and she'll say, well, let me see what's going on so I can ascertain the whole situation. So that's pretty much what Jesus did. He went down there. He came to earth to see so he could ascertain the whole situation. Now, he found out that Sodom and Gomorrah was very depraved. Evidently, before he even went to Lot's house, he had already searched the city. And it was probably far worse than what he thought. He had already searched the city by the time he came to Lot's house. Okay. So, as you know, two angels came to Lot's house, two good-looking angels, two tall, good-looking angels, and they were so depraved that the men of Sodom and Gomorrah wanted to rape them. And as you know, the holy angels blinded them, and then they said, we're going to destroy this place. Okay, so, but that whole incident represented a paradigm shift in the human genome. See, we are spirit and soul. The soul contains our mind, our personalities, our intellect, and we live in the body. Okay. I think it's so stupid. It just says this. I think it's so stupid to say that some people are dumber than the others. You have geniuses in every culture under the sun. Some people just have a talent for absorbing information, processing the information, and understanding the information. Now, of course, if you have a person who's rich and has been pampered all their life, they, of course, know more information than a person who's from the jungles of Africa who've never been exposed to all these elite schools and so on. But it doesn't mean that one is dumber than the other. It just means that others have been exposed to more knowledge than the other, okay? And if you want to know the truth, actually, the Egyptians knew more than everybody, okay? Anyway, that's how they built the pyramids, okay? But the Lord, if you look at the passage, the Lord was even surprised that mankind had become so depraved. Okay, so as you know, it rained fire and brimstone. We're going to destroy this place. It rained fire and brimstone. So the question is, why doesn't the Lord do that now? Why doesn't he rain fire and brimstone now? Well, because he would destroy the righteous with the unrighteous. If he rained fire and brimstone over church, he would destroy everybody in the church because there's a lot of homosexuals in the church. Okay, so he's not going to do that. Okay, so he's not going to destroy the righteous with the unrighteous. Okay, but like I said, you can commit a sin in your spirit. For example, you can go commit some kind of sin that will affect your spirit, your soul, and your body. I remember reading this article about this young man in this generation. He was in jail for an armed robbery. And if you go back to generations, his father was in jail for some type of theft. His grandfather was in jail for stealing some tobacco or something, and his great grandfather which goes back to slavery, had stolen the chicken or something like that. So you see how this whole mentality of stealing went to 4 generations. The great grandfather, the great grandfather, the grandfather, the father, and then now the son in this generation. Okay, so you see how a person can commit a sin and it will affect 4 generations of people, of descendants. Okay, or it would have, the Bible says that in Deuteronomy that when you sin, it affects the next 3 generations. Okay, I've seen so many things, like slavery, for example. Slavery made black women into whores. And we see the consequences right now. A woman, a black woman can have 6 or 7 children, and not any 2 have the same father. And they started this whoredom, when they were 13, 14. Why? It all goes back to slavery, when the white man made the black women whores. So we kept that mindset to generation after generation after generation. Okay. Now in Sodom and Gomorrah, the men started acting like women. They submitted themselves to other men. Okay. Now you wonder, well, how was that? Well, they were all killed. How's that going to affect the next generation? Well, it is, because because the Bible says the surrounding cities. Not only was it Sodom and Gomorrah, they were the surrounding cities that had this sin. So if you go fast forward in time, when the Israelites came out of Egypt, by this time, and it also says Lot was vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. He was vexed for some reason. As you know, his daughter, he impregnated his 2 daughters, the Moabites. They became the Moabites and Amorites. And they were always a thorn in Israel's side. Okay. Now, I don't know what happened to Lot. I don't know if he was still vexed. There's nothing more said about Lot. I don't know if he had children by other women. I don't know. But so therefore, that incestuous sin is going to go on to generation after generation. Okay, so the homosexual sin sexual perversion in general went to generation after generation. Okay, when the Israelites came out of Egypt, they said this homosexual sin started. Men with men, women with women. And they fell in one day 23,000. They'd gone to hell. The Bible says they were idle. They rose up to play. Okay, playing all day when they should have been working, trying to get out of Egypt, working their way out of Egypt instead of playing and partying. That's what the problem was, idleness, playing, partying. Okay, they woke up to play. They partying, music and everything else. And once you get, it's like a giant club out there in the wilderness. Okay. So what the paradigm shift was, whatever the chemicals and processes and organs that make up the whole sexual system, which is many too much to number. It's not just estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. It's not just those 3 chemicals. It's a whole lot of chemical processes was permanently altered. If a male baby, is exposed to even a teaspoon of estrogen, he will become a kind of effeminate male, and he will probably be attracted to men. And you can get estrogen from plants. You can get it from soy. Okay, there are a lot of plants that have estrogen. If you have a female baby, if she is exposed to a teaspoon of testosterone, she will become a masculine girl, and she will probably be attracted to girls, women. So And even now, see, human beings are in such a depraved state that even now you can have the top. I mean, if you just look at it on Google, from 1700s, 1800s, you can have the top male, the bottom female, or you can have the right female and the left side male, or vice versa. You can have undeveloped testes. We're all grown here, right? I've heard of females with testicles. There are just a whole lot of anomalies out there in the whole sexual system. Okay, because the sexual system is very complicated. It's not just taking a bunch of testosterone and growing a beard and getting rid of your breasts and taking some estrogen and growing some hips and then wearing some makeup and calling yourself a female. It's a whole sexual system, and it's very complex. And like I said in the previous video, if you watched, we are all girls until all these processes kick in. Everybody's a girl until, processes kick in. Okay. Now, if you're a Christian and you have any sexual anomalies, you can say, Lord, you have to submit your sexuality to the Lord. You have to say, Lord, I feel this way, but I know I look this way. And he will let you know who you authentically are, and he can let you have the right attraction. Okay, so because we only have to please God. We don't have to please man. But the whole incident with Sodom and Gomorrah, which is probably why it was included in the Old Testament, because it represented a paradigm shift in human sexuality. After that incident, the whole sexual system was became convoluted, in disarray. Have a nice day.